Warriors, the Slan.
And hello and welcome to another painting stream. How are we doing today, guys?
Hello. Very good, thank you.
We're all having a good Sunday. It is Sunday. It feels like the weeks are running away with us at the minute. What have you guys been up to this week?
Well, I can sum up what I've been up to very easily by just saying blood from a blood god and skulls from a skull throne.
Yeah, you know what? I have been doing much the same. As on my desk, if I move them out of the way, I have got the new Angron. Oh, he's beautiful, Andy. He's such a nice model.
Yeah, it does look nice.
Oh, it was so much fun to paint up. So I will be painting up some more bits for the World Eaters as soon as I can because, I've had some really good fun doing them. So today on the stream, we're going to be painting up some cool stuff. I'm going to be working on some Tyranids, in particular a Hive Tyrant in Hive Fleet Behemoth colours. So that'll be pretty fun. Jay, you seem to have something Seraphony in your hands.
What a surprise. I was just saying to Andy then before we started, it's my first Age of Sigmar model I've painted, and I can't remember last time I painted an Age of Sigmar model.
Are you enjoying painting him?
It's been a while. Yeah, I think
you fell out of love with AOS for a little bit, didn't you?
I have, yeah, because for one reason or another, I haven't. But I have to say that the LVO reveals we had the other day, have really got me hyped again, especially for the lizards.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before. It's a cool range, but some of the models are a little bit old now, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been digging through my old Warhammer Fantasy Army books, and the Saurus Warriors are go back editions, so
yeah, exactly.
It's great to see them get a revamp.
What do you think of the new Saurus Warriors?
Oh, they're incredible. They're really, really nice. I can't wait to get a set. Really, really impressed with them. I'm also really, really impressed with the new Slan as well.
The new Slan, yeah.
I hadn't realised at first when we saw it that there's two. You can build it in two different ways.
Right.
So there's like the one I saw, and then there was another one, like a purple one. They'd painted in purple, but he had a skink sort of with a spear hanging off the side of the throne. It looks really, really nice.
Yeah, awesome. So what are you thinking then for your one?
So I'm painting Lord Kroak here, but I'll definitely be picking up another Slan as well. And actually, I've got the old metal Slan here. This was my old Slan, but he's the metal one.
Nice.
So I definitely want to pick up one of the other Slan as well. The sort of, I guess they're your generic. I guess it'll be a hero character model in your army. They're like iconic sort of units, aren't they? Really, the Slan.
Yeah, they are.
Slan Mage Priests. Although they're not Mage Priests anymore, are they? What are they now? Slan something else. I can't think what are they, Andy?
Master or something?
Star Master, that's right, yeah.
Master of Stars. Cool.
They do look nice.
No, they do. I'm looking forward to seeing what they get, because they kind of allude to the fact that this isn't everything we're going to get for the Seraphon as well.
Yeah, I mean that's exciting. I was in the local Games Workshop store at the weekend, and I was talking to Dan, and we were thinking about what else might be coming for them. We're thinking, well, Temple Guard perhaps with new Saurus Warriors.
I mean,
it makes sense.
Oops.
Yeah, I mean a dual kit maybe.
Possibly, yeah. Cold One Knights, Saurus Knights, Kroaks ago, Salamanders and Razordon.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of old metal. Oh yeah, metal kits that need redoing. So yeah, that's awesome. So you're working on Lord Kroak tonight, Andy. What are you working on?
So I'm working on. I'm going to butcher the name. The Farstrider Kinbad, I think they're called. For Kill Team.
The Kroot.
It's the Kroot. Yeah, Kroot for sure. Yeah, I've had these in my painting pile ever since Into the Dark came out, and not touched them. And then a friend of mine and listener of the show, we basically started talking about Kill Team. We've been playing a lot of Kill Team and stuff, and we basically decided to do sort of like a random kill team I think it was every 2 months. So the idea is on the back of the kill team compendium book, there's 19 factions, and basically we just got a D20, rolled it up, and that was the faction that we were going to do for the kill team for that
That's
month.
a really cool idea. I like that.
Just
Really pick some of paint water to drink then.
You don't want to drink your pink water. So we've got a couple of people joining us in the chat as well. So over on YouTube, Dave is in the chat. He says, Froggy, loving the Lord Kroak model, and it also pleases him seeing me paint Tyranids. Well, this is a big chunky boy. This is one of the old metal Hive Tyrants. Not the oldest metal Hive Tyrant. He is in the post, because I got an eBay auction. I managed to get him today. But yeah, the metal one after that. And yeah, it's, I don't know. I've got a soft spot for metal models. They've got a bit of heft to them, haven't they?
Yeah, I like the metal models. I've got a lot of the Aspect Warriors in metal for the Eldar, and the Tau stealth suits as well. Metal stealth suits, I'm the same.
Yeah, and we've also got Pocket Nerd Faye over on Twitch. How you doing, Faye? What are you working on today?
Oh,
yeah, I'm really enjoying working on these Tyranids. I picked up a load. Dave had a Tyranid army, and he got rid of them, so I picked them up off him. And with the rumours of 10th edition maybe having some Tyranids in the box, I wanted to get a bit of a Tyranid force together. And then with it also being 40 years of Warhammer this year, I thought if we went for some old school 2nd edition Tyranids, that'd be a fun little project to work on. So
yeah,
that's the thinking anyway. So yes, that's the plan. Paint up these guys and put together. If we can put together a little crusade force of just 2nd edition models, it'd be awesome. Dave in the chat says, "I've got a couple of classic guard with special weapons in metal." I think, you know what? If you got any old models, guys, I'm just thinking for a 40 years of Warhammer. I know it's technically Warhammer Fantasy. Paint some old school models that are probably older than Andy.
I have to go through me. I've got a load of old
the
dwarf
oldest
models
that I've still got. Yeah, I was just about to say exactly the same. I've got my old 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy Dwarf army, and I think that's probably the oldest I've got.
No, classic dwarfs are cool, especially for a Warhammer birthday project.
Yeah.
I think that'd be good fun. Let's have a look at these guys. So just off screen, I've got some Tyranid warriors that are in the scheme that I'm doing, which is, I believe, Hive Fleet Behemoth, kind of red and black with basically it's the Seraphon colours highlights. So it's Sotek green and
Temple Guard blue.
Temple Guard blue. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, hopefully they should look alright when they're finished. David done a decent job on his ones, so I want to try and get them matching, and then yeah, play some games with them. Hopefully as well this week, if Dave's well, we'll be filming the first part of our Crusade series as well. So that's super exciting. It's a bit of a narrative campaign that Dave has fully written. We have no idea what's going to happen, do we, Jay?
Nope, I'm looking forward to that. I've my Neo Carrot conglomerate have rested and recovered from the Warhammer World event.
Have they?
Ready to go again.
Ready to get eaten by some demons. So I think we're gonna start it as a fresh crusade. I believe the plan is.
Yeah.
Because your guys were a little bit battle weary, weren't they, from the weekend?
Mauled.
So I think if we start a fresh one, then hopefully they might have some better luck. Pocket Nerd, I'm working on my Gore Chosen of Drom, ready for the clash on Friday. Nice. Sorry guys, we should go to one of the clashes at Warhammer World. They look really good fun. The hard bit's getting there on a Friday night, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just Underworld, is it?
Underworld, yeah. You've done the Warcry one, haven't you, Andy?
Yeah. So we did that on a Thursday night in Bugman's Bar. And that was great fun. Absolutely loved it. But when we sort of left at about 10:30 at night, I was like, it's still going to take me an hour to drive home.
Yeah.
And then they closed, because it was a weekday, they closed half a bypasses driving home, so that took a lot longer than I was anticipating to get home.
Oh, that's always the worst when you're going to have the mystery trip home from Warhammer World.
Yeah, thank God for sat nav.
Right, my sat nav is a little bit temperamental. It's a really old sat nav, so it doesn't always have all the up-to-date roads on it. So yeah, that's always hours of entertainment. I remember we were on Warhammer TV, me and Dave, and similar situation where some of the main roads were closed that we'd normally go, and we took the scenic route back. It was death-defying, with Dave as navigator, staring straight into the Astronomicon to try and get us home. So Dave says, I'm painting Guard whilst my son is painting Bluey figures. I do not know what this is.
Figures.
Jay, you've got children. Is this some kind of
Bluey.
animated program?
I don't know what Bluey is.
Listeners, let us know what Bluey is. Pocket Nerd. For older models, I have the old Space Hulk box with the Space Marine artifact, which is a beauty. Is that the most recent Space Hulk box with the really nice Terminators and Gene Stealers? Yeah, you were looking for some of those, weren't you, Jay?
I was, yeah, because I was thinking that I was going to use those Terminators as my boarding patrol.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Boarding
they'd
action,
work really well. They'd work really well. A reliable source in the chat says Bluey is a kids show. Bluey is an amazing cartoon. I highly recommend it. Pocket Node's also got the old Broodlord on the list. Oh, nice. Black Dice Gaming Limited over on YouTube. Good evening. I'll be working on some Blood Warriors later this evening. Excellent. Yeah, I'm all for corn stuff. Just before we went live over on Warcom, the new Warcry box is up for pre-order next week, which has got some new corn models in it. I take it this is another one that you'll be adding to the collection, Andy. I know you like a bit of corn.
Yeah, that in the Kill Team boxes. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be ordering at least one of both of those because they're just amazing. Like looking at Warcry, we've had Heart of Gur, we had oh god, what was the second one called? One of the Hunters of Hanuchi.
Yeah, and the Jade
fellas.
They all look amazing.
Norwood or something like that, was it?
Yeah, I mean they look cool. They look cool, don't they? I really like the look of the vampire guys in this one.
Yeah, I like the colour scheme for those vampires.
Orange vampires.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think I'm gonna have to paint mine with purple skin to match my my Soulblight Gravelords, who hopefully get a new book soon because we know there's a lot of books coming out this year for 40k, for Age of Sigmar. So it wouldn't surprise me if the old vampires get some updates too. So that'd be really fun.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of books before the Seraphon come out.
So Fabius Fulgrim says, good morning. Have you got unboxing videos for the Berserkers coming? Or do we need to wait until Saturday for my own unboxing? You've filmed something for these, haven't you, Andy?
So I have filmed a little video where I sort of go over the new models, the 8-bound, the Jackals, and the Khorne Berserkers. Unfortunately, because of my wonderful internet, it's taking an extremely long time to upload. Ooh. In fact, I think I uploaded it yesterday while I was at a friend's house.
Huh.
So, yes.
They'll be on the way. You got some images on the review, haven't you, Andy?
Yeah, so I painted up a Khorne Berserker and a Jackal. And I've painted up a normal 8-bound champion, and I've put the pictures for the Khorne Berserker and the Jackal in the review over on spruesandbrews.com, and I'm going to be posting either tonight or tomorrow the 8-bound unit champion that I've painted as well.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, they're absolutely gorgeous models.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing them. You've got pictures of all the sprues on the site as well, haven't you, Andy? I'm sure you took pictures of them.
Yeah, so all the sprues are on the website, including the Lord Invocatus or the Khorne Lord on Juggernaut.
Nice.
World Eater Lord on Juggernaut. I forgot what it's called now.
Cool. So yes, so Fabulous Fulgrim, if you head over to spruesandbrews.com, Andy's got all of those on the write up. What's your kind of like, I guess, short form review of the World Eaters? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Big thumbs up.
Big thumbs up. Excellent.
I mean, yeah, writing the review, one of the big things about the codex is just what it means for future codexes. So basically, when you pick a World Eater army, you either pick, funnily enough, World Eaters or Disciples of the Red Angel, which is Angron's sort of like followers. And both of them only have 8 stratagems each, which is obviously significantly less than what we've seen in every other codex, which for me is a good thing, because if you're looking for a particular stratagem, we're all on one page.
Yeah, definitely.
And it kind of gives you a big hint as to what they're going to do with like 10th edition stuff. Like even the army special rules, there's literally one army special rule on the normal page, which is the +1 attack and strength when they're charged or they are charged or whatever. And then the rest of the special rules are all on the data sheets.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I prefer that. More consolidated everything onto the sheets themselves then, Andy.
Yeah, basically. The codex is very easy to digest, I think is probably the best way I would describe it.
Well, that's good.
And let's face it, Angron's absolutely gorgeous. The new Berserkers are absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, the new Angron was so much fun to paint up. Really, really enjoyed doing it. So yeah, I painted all 3 of the Demon Primarchs now. So hopefully at some point we get Fulgrim as well.
Oh, I mean, he's got to be on his way, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he does get a name check in the first Arcs of Omen book as well. He's out causing trouble, and Abaddon's a bit unhappy that he's a bit of a loose cannon. Yeah. To put it diplomatically.
It's the siege all over again.
It is the siege. I think he's doing much that, Jay. So Luke Foster over on YouTube says, "Evening all. We played first and last game at Warhammer World Crusade week. Oh, we played first and last game at Warhammer World Crusade weekends. Matt, an epic conclusion. I can vouch for Bluey being amazing, even better than Hey Dougie. We've got all the deep kids TV chat today. Yeah, we had really good. You were with the Eldar, weren't you, Luke? That was such a good army. Yeah.
Was that the one that was in the cabinet?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a nice army.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Eldar.
Bio 10 one, the green one.
They
won the Judge's Choice, didn't it? Yeah, Beltan, yeah.
We had an epic battle where the end of the game was basically a massive fight between an Avatar of Cain, a Great Unclean One, and a Soul Grinder. And, like, everything died, if I remember rightly.
Oh, of course, yeah. You took your Nurgle Demons.
I did take my Nurgle Demons, yeah. So the Soul Grinder got defeated, and then I'm sure it was something like the Great Unclean One killed the Avatar of the Cain, and then that came back to life and killed the Great Unclean One, maybe. I forget how it played out, but it was an epic battle anyway. Great fun. And Fabius Fulgrim says, "Cool. World Eaters were their army when they were a kid, and the last Berserker kit was brand new. It's a great week." Wow. Yeah, that's a while ago when that kit was brand new. You were toying with getting some of these not long ago, weren't you, Andy?
Yeah, I did sort of look at them and think, I could just buy some of the old corn Berserkers, because really, I think you got 16 in a box. So if you bought 2 boxes, that would be, 32?
Mm-hmm.
So you could have a couple of, and then to buy the equivalent in new Berserkers would probably cost you probably an extra 30 quid on top of all that, maybe.
Okay.
So I did think about it, but
the new ones do look good, though.
Oh, the new ones are amazing. I tell you what, the 2-handed eviscerators are, they look very nice, and the fact that they come with sort of like bare arms on one side, so they can swing the weapon a little bit easier and stuff. Yeah, they've really gone to town on the new kit, and the head options as well. I think you get about 20 different heads in the box.
Oh wow,
which
okay.
is, yeah, a lot.
That is a decent number of heads. Cool. What about the 8-bound, Andy? Is there much options on there? Because I know a lot of people will be picking up multiple boxes of them.
So for them, no, not a huge
that's
amount.
a shame.
So you can either build like 8-bound or the exalted 8-bound, and the only real difference is the feet on the 8-bound are armored, whereas the exalted ones are sort of like barefoot, kind of demon sort of inspired feet.
Yeah.
And then the exalted 8-bound come with kind of like a power fist with a blade saw in them.
Okay.
Whereas the normal 8-bound, it's 2 axes effectively, and then you get a choice with your sort of like sergeant for the 8-bound to give him the big 2-handed glaive, which gives him like 12 attacks at strength 7 or something on those lines.
Right.
I think there's a little bit of freedom in terms of the actual faces. I think you get a couple of like different faces. Like the unit champion comes with one where he's sort of gritting his teeth, and another one where his mouth's sort of wide open.
Yeah.
But yeah, apart from that, there's not a huge amount of flexibility. If you're buying like 27, which is like what I've seen online, like people wanting to buy tons and tons and tons of them.
I wonder they're out of stock, bro.
Yeah. Then you're gonna get a lot of duplicates basically.
Yeah, I mean they are a good unit, and I guess if you're leading into the demon subfaction, where they're your go-to unit, really, aren't they? Because I guess you've got 2 units, haven't you? The 8-bound and the exalted 8-bound. So if you're doing the fully demon list, I guess it gives you a little bit of variety. Because other than that, really, all you can take is the Lord on Juggernaut, Demon Prince, and then all the demon engines. I think you're allowed to take Land Raiders as well, aren't you?
Yeah, so you're allowed to take Land Raiders. I mean, you can still take Khorne Chaos Demons from the Chaos Demon Codex.
Yeah.
Obviously, it depends on your points values and stuff that you're playing around with. But I wrote a list for a PSU event, which was basically Angron, a Lord on Juggernaut as your compulsory HQ choice for an Orcs of Omen detachment. 2 units of 8-bound and 2 units of exalted 8-bound, and I think that's like 995 points or something. Yeah,
well, I was looking at something similar for a 2,000 point list, and I think it was like that plus a Lord of Skulls demon engine, and then like 500 points of Khorne demons as an allied detachment.
Yeah,
and I think that'd be.
I mean,
it's not leaning too heavily into exalted 8-bound spam, but it's still a nice demonically themed list then.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to pick up. Well, one of the factions that I want to do this year is Death Guard, Leagues of Votan, and World Eaters, and I definitely want to pick up for my birthday in April. I want to pick up a nice big centerpiece model, which is either going to be Angron or it's going to be the Lord of Khorne, Lord of
Skulls.
Khorne, Lord of Skulls. There you go.
Yeah, it's a nice model. He got slated when that came out, didn't it? The big Thomas the Tank engine. It's like it's like a Chaos train, isn't it?
For the Forge World variant with the legs.
Yes, they use the legs of a knight, don't they? And then the body of the demon engine itself, which does look a bit more menacing. It gets rid of the kind of train aesthetic, but I quite like it. It's a bit cheesy and over the top, and sometimes you need things to be cheesy and over the top.
Yeah. Well, you know how people have been complaining about the
Rogor Dawn,
having a hole in the bottom of it. Well, from what I've been told, the Lord of Skulls has a hole in the bottom of that. That's a lot bigger.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Looks like my multi-chat stream has dropped. So Jay, are you keeping an eye on Twitch for any questions?
I'm keeping an eye on it. Yeah.
So over on YouTube, Luke says, Beotan Eldar, Avatar fighting on after death to slay a great unclean one. Great finish to the campaign weekend. It was good old fun. Steve Harbour, we evening or a weekend off from Nottingham, I see. Yeah, so we've not streamed for the last couple of weekends because by the time we got back from Warhammer World for various events, we were knackered basically, and it's a bit of a late night doing the stream after it. So apologies, we've not been on the air for the last few Saturdays, but I think it's a while until our next event now. So we'll be on every Sunday, painting models, painting some more Tyranids hopefully. What we might do as well, see how we go. But I'd like to do a live stream as well at some point, a live battle.
Yeah.
Because we had good fun doing them for the... it was 3rd edition Path to Glory, wasn't it? AOS. We did a lot of streams for. And I believe there was an episode where your Grey Knights took on Dave's Zinch as well, I want to say.
Yep. That was a good battle, that one was.
It was fun. So, yeah, let us know if you're watching, you'd like to see something like that. We'll get the camera set up and get some live battles on the go. And then you guys can chat along, cheer on who you want to win, all that good stuff. But yeah, we'll definitely do that again soon because we had fun doing that. So yeah.
I think the Dwarf versus Soulblight Gravelord is one of my favourite battle reports online.
It was
Period.
a fun battle, that, wasn't it?
I loved that game.
We had good fun doing
it was very fun to watch.
I can't remember who won that. I want to say the Dwarfs.
Ooh.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think the Dwarfs won in the end.
Dwarfs normally win those kind of things. I think I was trying to do some kind of demonic ritual to summon some dark shenanigans. And
Yeah, I think it was the ritual battle plan from the core book in the Path to Glory section.
It was, yeah. And Jay's Dwarfs put an end to that swiftly.
Well, I don't think they were very swift, to be fair.
No, they're not. They're never swift, are they, Dwarfs?
The Iron Drakes were good.
Iron Drakes are very good. So Dave says, the argument over the hole I don't get on the Rogel Dawn. And the battle rep with the Grey Knights and the Thousand Suns were mint. Yeah, I understand why some people are unhappy about the hole in the bottom of the tank. It does feel a little bit light when you pick it up, personally, but I don't think it's the big issue a lot of people have made it out to be.
No, it doesn't bother me.
You can't tell when it's sitting there on the table.
No, you can't, no. And if it was a case of, okay, we've got enough sprue space to put the bottom of the tank, which was probably sculpted, or we'll use that space for different weapon options and gubbins to stick on your tank, because arguably you don't need that bit. And if that bit was included, then suddenly it's 3 sprues rather than 2 sprues. And
I've seen people magnetize the different weapon options that go on the front, like the heavy stubbers and stuff like that. And then in that space underneath, they've just put some magnetic strip along the side, and they use that compartment to put the different weapon bits under and stuff like that.
Nice. Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, but it's not a bit. People like to moan, don't they? Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's the internet, so. I've seen people put Twixes and Mars bars and stuff in the little hole as well.
Twixes and Mars bars. More tanks need a Mars bar hole.
Yeah. Oh no, my tank's been killed. Well, at least I get a Mars bar.
What does everyone watching think of the Rogel Dawn hole debate? If it is such a thing. Steve Harbour's got a good point. Just base the tank. Problem solved.
Yeah, I was just thinking something similar, actually. Joe, like I've done with me Land Fortress.
Yeah, I think the Land Fortress looked really good on a base. I mean, all my Orc tanks are based as well. I think
Yeah, they come with bases, don't they? The Orc vehicles.
the smaller ones do. The big ones I had to get some like night bases and stuff for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think tanks look nice on bases. It just finishes everything else in your army is based, isn't it? So
Yeah,
just
that's
like
it. It just
aesthetically ties everything together as well.
does. Yeah, it looks nice.
So yeah.
When you're at Warhammer World months and months ago, there was a heresy game between Sons of Horus and Blood Angels on one of the tables. And the Blood Angel player had 2 Spartans that were all on bases that matched the sort of like the theme of his army. They looked amazing. The bases were big, but they looked amazing.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Luke Foster says, I enjoy the opportunity to use the phrase dawn hole. Yeah, absolutely. Should that be on you, like, go-to insult? Dawn hole?
No.
No.
As the Imperial Fist player says no. Yeah.
Vetoed that one. Yeah. I mean, the punchline is, isn't the first tank to have like an empty bit underneath it either. I think the I forget what it's called. The transport for the Adeptus Mechanicus, I think, doesn't have sculpted kind of detail underneath it either. Oh, we've got questions coming thick and fast on YouTube. Matt H says, will you guys be at the UK Games Expo this year? Yes, we will be. We plan on being there anyway. We normally do
we talk about that with my brother this weekend.
Yeah. We normally go up there and film some content. So yeah. Matt H, will you be at the UK Games Expo? And anyone else in the chat as well, if you are, let us know. Give us a shout if you see us wandering around with all our camera gear. We're always happy to have a chat to anyone who spots us out in the wild. And the UK Games Expo is a really good show as well. Even if you're not into, like, Warhammer wise, I think last year they didn't have like a preview seminar or anything or any new models. They normally do. UK Games Expo really, I think, probably safe to say, if the more like indie ones and board games and stuff, we see lots of really cool stuff there, don't we, Jay?
Oh yeah. Crucible 7, is it? They're always there.
Cubicle 7? Yeah, Cubicle 7 are always there with all their RPG stuff. But that board games and stuff, there's always a lot of stuff that you probably only ever see at the event. You know, you may not have heard of the game before. We've gone home with brand new systems that we've never played before, haven't we, Jay?
Yeah, what was it we picked up last time? We've still not played it yet. We need to play this. Bushido, yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. Really nice models. So, yeah, I'd say if you go, check out some of the smaller stuff that you may not have heard of. It's pretty fun. Jim Jackson says, Holy Hollow Tank Batman. Come on, it's not really an issue. I'm more confused while a Rogel Dawn box is smaller than the Lehman Russ box. Well, so I shall tell you for why. The Lehman Russ box now contains all of the different options for the various builds of Lehman Russ, and I believe it was designed in a time before some of the CAD assisted magic that they have now. They can fit a lot more on a frame than they used to be able to. So yeah, that's probably why it uses less sprues. So if Dave's message hops out the way, I can see what this message says. Tim Underwin says, if it bothers people, just buy a sheet of plasticard and make your own bottom plate. It's £1 a sheet. Yeah, there's things you can do for it. It's not an issue. I think there's bigger things to worry about than a hole in the bottom of a tank.
Especially an Imperial Guard tank.
Well, exactly, yeah. I saw the painting phase, Peachy's, but it's a podcast, but they've got like a video version on YouTube, and he was saying, obviously he used to make explosion markers for tanks, so I think you've had the same, Jay. Kind of get some like scouring brush, put an LED in it, and it kind of flickers like an explosion. Well, having a hole in the bottom of it, you can turn it upside down, pop it out of there, and it looks more authentic.
This is true.
Yeah. So yeah.
Speaking of the painting phase, the Kroot Kimband that I'm painting at the minute are kind of inspired by how Peachy's done his Kroot Kimband on their
Oh
show.
yeah.
I've just substituted some of the colours and stuff like that. I've been using the Black Templar contrast paint to do some of the dark leather bits, and then I've been using where is it? I'm going to butcher this name, Garakax Sewer, to do all the sort of like the fins and the leather details and stuff like that.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think with the next group of Kroot I'm going to do, I'm going to mix it up and try like Gorgunter and like snakebite leather and stuff, so they don't all look exactly the same. There's a little bit of variety to them.
Yeah, that makes sense, Andy. Oh, that's cool. I really like those Kroot. They're nice models, aren't they?
Yeah, they're lovely. They are.
Oh, absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely good. I'll tell you what though, I was building the heavy gunner, and there's two different ones. There's one with like almost like a claw on it, and then there's another one with like a it's like 3 points effectively.
Yeah.
And it doesn't tell you in the building guide which gun is which weapon. So one of them's effectively like a heavy flamer, and the other one's kind of like a plasma gun meets a heavy bolter.
Yeah. I think the one with the 3 bits is the try something or other.
Yeah,
I think it's called.
that's the logic I went for.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So hopefully I've built the right one.
Surely the one with the 3 bits is the try whatever it is. You'd hope so.
Yeah, you don't.
Solvent Abuse UK says, good evening. How you doing? What are you working on? What is everybody in the chat working on? We've got a couple of people watching us. What is your hobby evening looking like? I'm plodding away at an old school Hive Tyrant. It's a big chunky boy. It is made of metal. You could break somebody's nose with it. I kind of miss metal models. I know you play Infinity, don't you, Jay? And they're all metal models, aren't they?
Yeah, they are all metal. Although I think actually they're starting to do more and more plastic as well.
Aren't they?
Are.
Interesting.
Yeah.
End of an era. I know Dave, if you're still watching, does not like metal models at all. Not a fan.
I'm not a massive fan of them. I don't mind the occasional metal model, but I think we're spoilt with all these plastics nowadays that it's I'd rather just have a plastic one.
Would you rather fine cast or metal?
Oh God.
Oh, well, if you keep it out of the sun, maybe fine cast.
Over metal?
No.
I know if there's a lot of models that were available in metal and now fine cast. Now, you've often had a look on eBay to see if you can get the metal originals, haven't you, Jay?
Yeah, I have.
Unfortunately, they sometimes go for quite a bit more, but
Yeah, they do.
but no, I like a metal model. They do chip though. You got to be careful to like properly seal them.
Look after them. Yeah.
Dave says, I do not like metal models. Fine casted better than metal. I don't know. There's a lot of cleanup on fine cast. That's what puts me off.
I was worried about them snipping off a bit of the model.
Yeah. Some of the gates and stuff in like really weird places on fine cast models.
I remember building Elrond. Oh God, I hated building Elrond.
Do you remember the old 40k Chaos Space Marine Raptors?
Chaos Space Marine? I never built them. Were they a multi-kit?
Um,
Plastic and metal?
Yeah, they were metal originally, and then when I bought them, they were one of the first fine cast kits.
Right,
and
okay.
They were basically on the stand by like a small little smoke plume.
Yeah.
And that was an absolute nightmare with fine cast. But then I imagine it would have been an absolute nightmare in metal as well. So.
Okay. Oh, I've got some breaking news in the
The
chat.
plastic ones, and never mind.
There's some breaking news in the chat. Dave says metal over fine cast, actually. Fair enough. I don't think Dave's... Have you built any Forge World models? I don't know if Dave's built much Forge World stuff.
No, I don't think he has. I don't think he's got.
I like building Forge World kits. Again, it's one of those you're just going to take your time with them, haven't you?
Yeah.
If you try and rush it, you'll ruin it and lose bits. Hogatronic, which is an amazing name, it says painting Ard Boys, upgraded some with brute heads and weapons. That's pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
Oh, the Age of Sigmar Brutes. Yeah, that's not a bad shout, is it, for Orcs?
That's cool. Anyone over in Twitch, Jay?
No, it's pretty quiet.
All quiet over in Twitch. Well, if anyone is watching over on Twitch, shout up, let us know what you're painting. Boop says metal, then plastic, then fine cast. Okay. Metal over plastic. See, as much as I like metal models, plastic is easier to work with, I think. Depends what the model is as well. I know some of those Infinity models are a right nightmare to try and build. And
Yeah,
they've got, like,
they are.
tiny little hands connected to tiny little wrists. And and certainly the earlier models had loads of parts that surely could have been like molded as less parts.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kits like that, though, isn't there?
Yeah. Has anyone ever built any Malifaux stuff?
No.
That is like some kind of torture device building those models. The models look really cool, but they've got so many bits. It's
Tell you what is nice. The
What?
Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff from Atomic Mass Games. That's really good.
It is very good. It is very good. They're 42mm, I want to say.
Yeah.
A bit of a chunky. I haven't got one on my desk to show as a comparison. There's been a few places that have had a bit of a sale on Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff recently. And I think all of us, apart from you, Jay, but you're not too fussed anyway, we've all jumped in and picked up some bits. So I think we'll probably have some Marvel Crisis Protocol battle reports in the near future too, because I think it looks a fun one to do videos for, Andy. It's fairly straightforward and quick paced.
Yeah, low model count. Yeah,
and small footprint as well. I think it's a 3x3 board. So
which is tiny, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I mean, if you think a game of Warhammer's on a 6x4 foot board, well, smaller now, but you know, when you factor in your dice tray and your cards and your books and everything, you need a full-on table. So having a bit of a smaller playing surface does help, doesn't it? So yeah, so we're going to check out that. I've painted up the Guardians of the Galaxy already. I've got the Asgardians to paint up next, and the Black Order. So that'll be a bit of fun. What have you picked up, Andy?
So, well, you guys went with Crusade event. Me and my fellow PSU co-host Craig were running like a 2-day Age Sigmar event up at Glasshammer Games in Telford.
Oh yeah.
And they've got quite a lot of Marvel Crisis Protocol in their shop, and I definitely picked up the Asgardians as well.
Oh, you did. Cool.
So I've got that, and then from I forget the actual shop that we bought them from, but I bought Ant-Man and the Wasp. Oh God, what have I bought? She-Hulk and Kingpin. Because,
Kingpin?
it was only like £12, so I figured, why not, eh?
Add them to the collection. No, that's cool, Andy. Yeah. That's cool. So, what kind of affiliation do you think you're going to go for? As Guardians, then, if you've got most of them?
I mean, I've got most of them. I've got... I want to pick up the core set. The problem is trying to find the core set at the minute is a bit of a nightmare.
I think in combination with the sales on, I think a lot of people have jumped into Marvel Crisis recently, haven't they?
Yeah. I'd like the Avengers because obviously I've watched all of the Marvel films, and I'd quite like to start with the characters from that I've grown sort of familiar with and accustomed to the last 12 years or however long the MCU's been going now.
Makes sense.
Um,
If Dave was on now, we'd be asking him like how many out of 10 each Marvel film gets. So for listeners who don't know, Dave rated Avengers Assemble 10 out of 10. Jay, that was
yeah,
right,
the
wasn't
first
it?
one, yeah.
10 out of 10. And then the next Marvel film that he saw was better than that, and then it just broke his entire scoring scheme.
Well, it was just like, yeah, like you rate that 10 out of 10. I was like, yeah, but it's not as good as Alien. So what do you call what do you rate Alien then? It's throws his whole scoring system into. He needs a separate one just for Marvel, I think, and
Yeah.
each individual Marvel film.
How many
You basically
Mjolnirs out of 10?
Yeah, you can't use it as a comparison.
I think we were on like 20 out of 10 at one point, weren't we?
Yeah.
So
I just we've got a new viewer in the chat here, Warden Toros, who unfortunately his paint station is away from his PC. He's lost a pot of paint because he got distracted.
lost
So he's
a
not
pot of
painting anything
paint?
currently. He's currently looking for paint.
Oh, awesome.
Better
Well,
than
thanks.
looking for a sprue.
It is better than
Oh,
looking
yeah.
for a sprue. Well, thanks for joining us. Hope you find your paint. And yeah, what if you did find your paint? What would you be working on?
Ooh.
I'm just trying to pick out. So there's a lot of stone. This model's not the easiest model to paint. I built it in sub-assemblies as much as I could, and it's still quite tricky to get your brush into certain. I'm trying to like edge highlight some of the stone work, but I'm not trying to be too neat with it. I'm just trying to do like almost like a feathering highlight to make it look a bit worn and chipped.
Oh yeah.
But it's very tricky with all these bits of like vine and stone flying around the model.
Okay. Did you manage to find a tutorial from Duncan for that one?
There was, yeah, I did find a tutorial, yeah, but it was a good tutorial. The jade is more blue, so Duncan does his more blue. I want to try and get mine a bit more green, so I'm going to try and use the box art, I think, to.
Okay, nice.
But I'm just sort of putting a few highlights on this stonework as much as I can, and I think I'm just going to apply a bit of a black wash to it. So I've got the Tooth and Coats range here that we were kindly sent, and I think there's a black wash in the box.
There is a black wash,
which is called Oblivion Black Wash. So I'm going to try an Oblivion Black Wash once I've done 2 stages of the grey. And then I'm going to get some Aphonian Camo Shade, I think. And I always find that over like a dark grey, it almost creates like a mossy look if you apply it in patches. So I'm going to have a go at that. Make the sort of the Palaquin look quite old and, worn. And then I can go to town then on the gold details. Yeah, and then I want it to make like damp stone almost. It's an impressive model, though, I have to say.
Yeah, I'm surprised it took you so long to pick him up, Jay.
I know, yeah, I did. It was a Broken Realms, wasn't it? I love this model when we saw it, but I was very much painting Luminef at the time, so I didn't want to get distracted. I had a sort of unofficial, only collect and build one army at a time type thing, don't get carried away. So that's what I've been trying to do for a while now. So obviously I haven't got any other Age of Sigmar army going, so I'm allowed to paint some lizards now.
You're allowed to. You have permission to.
I just found I ended up just collecting sprues. I had like a big clear out of just armies that I'd started and not done much with.
Yeah.
I thought I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just going to choose an army and then just do that. So.
Yeah, I guess it's a double-edged sword for us, isn't it, doing the review stuff? Because for me, the majority of this year, I've been painting stuff for reviews and videos and stuff, so I've not had any chance this year to paint anything for myself, I don't think. So I've got a bit of a breather, because the next couple of weeks' content Dave's painting up. So I want to try and get these Tyranids painted up, because if they are coming for 10th edition, I think it'd be nice to have a little practice the scheme, so I can nail at them when the box comes out, and B, get some games on the go with them.
Yeah.
In the chat over on YouTube, Jack Harkness says, "Evening all. Look forward to these lives every week, like a mini podcast." That's kind of the vibe that we're going for with the podcast not being weekly anymore, just us hanging out and talking hobby rubbish. I'm working on 10 infiltrators tonight for my homebrew chapter, the Shadow Stalkers. What's the colour scheme of the Shadow Stalkers, Jack? And Jim Jackson says metal every time. The way they resist stable magnetization and crash into other stuff in transit is a wonderful guard against becoming too attached to intact novels. Yeah. What's worse as well, if you knock over a metal model, you're probably going to end up chipping it as well. And it does your back in carrying him to Warhammer World 2. So, there are pros and cons to all the different formats that we've got.
I've heard horror stories over the years of like metal bloodthirsters falling off tables and stuff.
Metal bloodthirsters, yeah. Oh, I've got a Keeper of Secrets that is probably more pin than model at this point. I think everybody's got some. Yeah. Let's just say it was a painful experience getting that together. It's like a nice model, don't get me wrong, but infuriating to build. And you look at it and it falls apart. So yeah, some are definitely easier than others. But no, I've got a soft spot for old models, and especially these nostalgia Tyranids, I'm going to call them. High fleet nostalgia. The Shadow Stalkers, if you want to paint along at home, are army painted green for the power armor with Eshin grey soldiers and Aquilas. Awesome. That sounds pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know what?
Very tempted to.
Oh, go on, Andy.
Very tempted to pick up some intercessors and some assault intercessors to paint them up for kill team, and because they're not going to be for a full-blown army, I'm thinking of just painting them as like a bit of a random chapter. So I was looking at like soul drinkers, I think they are, which are like
Imperial Fist
with a
successor.
bit of gold.
Nice.
Never mind then.
Have you ever?
They're from the novels, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure their chapter master is a spider, or something like that.
A spider?
Yeah.
Like Incy Wincy?
In power armor in the 41st millennia with a power fist.
Oh
yes.
yeah, he's got robotic legs and stuff, hasn't he? Yeah. Imagine like an AdMech, a bit like Belisarius Call.
Okay.
Is probably the best way to describe him.
I mean,
yeah,
that's pretty
right
cool,
there,
isn't it?
Not like Incy Wincy.
Not like Incy Wincy. I'm a bit disappointed, if I'm honest. Just like a spider in power armor.
There's I think it's for one of the Plague Marines. You can have like a fly head, and
yes,
that always gives you the illusion of a fly in power armor.
Oh, we've got Anonymous Rex in the chat on Twitch now, and he's just said, "Yep, they're renegades." I think he's talking about Soul Drinkers there. And Warden Tauros has got an Orc Killer Boss from the Indomitus Age of Sigmar set. Oh, is this the? I got confused then between 40k and a killer. Is that the Swamp Orcs? Is it the Cruel Boys?
What's it called, Jay?
Indomitus AOS set. Orc Killer Boss.
Orc Killer Boss. Yeah, so that's the fella riding the weird kind of creature from the box. Yeah, it's a nice model, that.
Oh, and Anonymous Rex says that the Primaris Soul Drinkers.
I'm sorry, Jay.
The Primaris Soul Drinkers are a refounding. So are they loyalists or are they still renegades? I don't like the fact that there's an Imperial Fist successor that turned traitor.
It sounds about right to me.
Yeah.
Dave says a spider in power armor. That'll be hard to catch in a glass. In a glass. See, am I the only person? And I had this happen this weekend. Am I the only person who calls Exterminatus if there's a spider in the house? And it's like there's not many options available to you. Either A, you take off from orbit, nuke the entire site. It's the only way to be sure. A little bit unreliable, that one. The other option, of course, is to vacuum it. They're a bit cruel, but does the job. Yeah.
Spiders are good. They get rid of the other pests in your house.
They do, but I don't like spiders. Controversial takes on Sprues and Brews today. Or you could just burn the house down is the other option again.
See, one of my friends. Oh, yeah, but I mean that's kind of like the exterminator's part, isn't it? But one of my friends is absolutely terrified of spiders. And one time I went round his house and this big spider, even like here in the UK, we don't usually get very big spiders. Like they're pretty small.
Not big
they're
enough
not
to
nasty.
burn your house down, I guess.
This spider, yeah, not big enough to burn your house down. But this spider even surprised me in terms of its size. Even I was a bit like, oh, yeah, you wouldn't mess with that fella. And it crawled into his bag, and we needed his bag for what we were doing. So it was like, well, we're not bringing it with a massive spider in it. And my friend just started jumping on his bag, and I was just like, wow, okay, like that's definitely killed it, but you know, it's now crushed up in your bag. So yeah, poor spider.
So the moral of the story is don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah.
My bedroom used to be in the attic as a kid, so I'm used to lots of spiders being on. Plus, my brother was he had all lizards and snakes and creepy crawlers and things in glass tanks and whatnot, so you sort of get used to it.
All right, okay. Well, Dave says he calls the wife.
Yeah.
He likes what spiders do, but would rather it be done out of line of sight. I completely agree. Tim Unwin says, virus bombing your living room is so extreme. Is it though? Is it though? I don't know. I think it's just justifiable. Just like Horus during the Horus Heresy. Justifiable. Completely forgive anyone who virus bombs their house if there's a spider in it, because let's face it, they're horrific things.
Right, guys, go and have a look at Lord Kroak model. Right. I don't know if you can see very well on here. Let me hold it up to the old camera. See where we are. Hold on. So, you've got the stone, and then inset in the stone, there's like swirly bits. That's the technical term, right?
Swirly bits, yep.
I can't tell whether those swirly bits are supposed to be like a jade pattern, or are they still stone? Let me know what you think, because if they're a jade, they're a very dark jade, not like the really bright jade that's on the top of his sort of palanquin at the top there.
Is it part of the
But I don't know whether to highlight the swirls with grey or to pick them out as like a dark jade colour.
I can't really tell. Is it like part of the carving then, Jay?
Can you guys still hear me?
Let's have a look on the Games Workshop website.
Look on the Games Workshop website.
I can definitely still hear you.
Seems to have gone very quiet.
So the swirly bits around his throne. So the swirly bits around his throne.
Hello, can you hear me again?
Yeah, can you hear us, Jay?
I can hear you now, yeah. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
it looks like stone on the Games Workshop website.
You think grey stone? So if I get my box, though...
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah, looking at it on the Games Workshop website, it looks like stone.
Right here, I can see... Maybe it's just a bit of, like... There, if you see on here, can you see this bit here? If you look at...
Maybe run some wash or contrast into it or something, just to tint it a little bit.
Yeah, it looks a bit greenish there. It doesn't even look like jade. Maybe it is stone, and it's like I said with the Aphonian camo shade, a bit of like moss effect.
Yeah, that'd be good.
It's definitely not the same jade that you've got on the top here.
I think you're right. I think it's where there's just some like weathering and moss that's kind of seeped into the deeper recesses, maybe. Over on YouTube. Jim Jackson says, Matt's over-the-top approach to spiders, similar to Russ's approach to the Thousand Suns. That's a good point. And Brian Daniels, hi chaps, just managed to sit down to do some hobby and catch you guys kind of live. We're completely live, not kind of live. This is live in your ears right now. I'm starting from the beginning, so this is a message from the past, or is it the future? I should have read the whole message before doing that. Well, it is kind of live. So, yeah, it's... time travel shenanigans, that, isn't it? When you read that message, I'll be reading to you live, even if you don't hear it for 59 minutes. So yeah, time travel stuff. That's how I'm going to explain that one. But thank you for joining us, Kinda Live.
Oh, guys, has anyone seen Last of Us yet?
I've not.
Are
No.
you up to date with Last of Us?
I have not seen a single episode of
I
it.
watched. So the first episode is free to watch on YouTube,
Is it?
and I just finished watching it last night.
Did you slip and buy a Now
If
TV
the-
subscription, Andy?
Well, I've got a Prime subscription, but I haven't really used Prime that much in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of just cancelling that and going for Now TV. But I might wait until it's actually all
All on
out
there.
and then just binge watch it then.
Is it being
But
dropped
the
like an
first
episode a week?
episode-
Is it?
Yeah, every Monday night. So there's been 3 episodes so far. If you believe all the hype on YouTube, episode 3 was not on YouTube, on the internet. Episode 3 was the best episode of TV ever of anything.
Ever?
It's ever. It would blow Dave's thingy score. It was a good episode. Before you cancel Amazon Prime though, Andy, watch Vox Machina. Then you can cancel Prime.
Yeah. Well, watching the first episode of Last of Us, and it was generally there's a bit where she one of the characters goes into a house, and it was genuinely quite scary and like on your edge. And then watching the whole episode, they've really done the game justice.
Have they?
And it was just it's absolutely amazing.
It's very good.
Loved it. Yeah, absolutely loved the first episode.
No, I might have to check it out then, guys.
Whoa. Don't drop Lord Kroak. He's dead anyway, he doesn't mind.
He is
Yeah,
dead,
he's
isn't
just
he?
a ghost, isn't he?
That's a bit of a shame, being dead and all.
But didn't Kroak get away in the spaceship? Still makes me laugh.
I
Oh
love,
yeah.
I love in that recent Age of Sigmar books. We've had like space battles and spaceships and all sorts.
Yeah, because it was all about the dragon eggs, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Protecting the dragons.
Didn't someone shoot down? Well, I mean that's the whole Warcry thing, isn't it? Someone shot down one of the Seraphon
The
ships.
void ships, yeah.
Yeah.
The more we see of like the expansions, I said this when we did the review. I kind of hoped that as we went through the expansions, we got closer to the Seraphon ship in the centre, where the scenery's been more of the kind of Gnarlwood stuff, hasn't it?
Yeah, could you imagine that? They could do a Space Hulk Seraphon ship.
Well, you know what? It's not out of the question because we did have the Catacombs expansion, and that's essentially what it'd be. It's a Space Hulk KOS.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool would that be?
It'll be ace.
Well, I'm hoping because we're up to the 3rd box of this season now, aren't we? With that Blood Hunt box.
Yeah.
That the season finale, as it were, the last box contains a large amount of the Seraphon ship scenery or something along those lines, even if it's from the outside.
Yeah, you know what? I've just thought as well. Obviously, this is a season of Warcry, but it's not outside the realms of possibility that the next season is a whole season of like Catacomb style kill team set within the ship itself.
A bit like Into the Dark.
Yeah, like Into the Dark.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool, wouldn't it?
No.
It would be ace. Very, very
It
unique
wouldn't
setting.
surprise me, innit?
Yeah. There's not many fantasy miniatures games where you could have, a whole season
Aztec
set.
spaceships.
Yeah, Aztec spaceships with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on board for that.
In space.
Exactly. Yeah. So Jay, is this your first time like properly using the two thin coats range then?
It is. So it is the first time. So I've had some on my desk to use from my Blood Angel project, which I will be using on the Blood Angels. And then we were very kindly sent the full range just shortly after, because has the Kickstarter ended yet, or is it still going?
I believe it's still going. They've
it's still
smashed
going.
The Kickstarter though.
Yeah, for the second wave. So we got the first wave of paints here. So what I'm using today is the black triad, which is Doom Death Black. Death Reaper, which is the mid-tone, and then Dungeon Stone Grey, which I'm currently using now to do like a really sort of not too a bit of a messy edge highlight because I want the stone to look chipped and battered, and I don't want it to be really thing.
Yeah.
I have to say, I've used a Colour Forge base, so the Stegadon Green equivalent Colour Forge base. I don't know what it could be called. Stegadon. No, that's a Games Workshop colour, isn't it? What's the colour base from Colour Forge? Drake Scale Green, but it's basically Stegadon Green. Or matches for Stegadon Green. And then I've gone straight in with the mid-tone, the Death Reaper, which is like, it's a grey colour. I would say it's close to Corvus Black, maybe slightly grey.
The mid-tone.
The mid-tone one, yeah.
I believe there's a dandy sheet here. Let me get that on camera now.
Yeah, here we are.
So,
got it here.
So Doom Death Black is the equivalent of Abaddon Black. Death Reaper is the equivalent of Corvus Black, which is like a grey black. And then Dungeonstone Grey is your Mechanica Standard Grey variant. Now, you could take that a step further and use Wizard Grey from the next triad to highlight that further. Or Kokaradon Grey, maybe.
That's what I'm going to get next. So the one after, once I've done this, that highlights here with the Dungeon Stone, I'm going to get some of the Kokaradon Grey as well, and just do some like pick off the corners and stuff like that. And then I'm going to go in then with the Oblivion Black Wash, which I've never used before. So I'm going to thin it down a bit because I that's why I started with the mid-tone, because I'm hoping the wash will shade it for me. Because I could have done a dry brush on the stone, but the model's it's very tricky to get a brush to some of the pieces. I don't think I would have made a good job with a dry brush, so I've tried to pick it out. It's taken a bit longer, but I mean, I'm probably halfway there now on the stone. But I have to say, I want to use 2 colours so far, and I am very impressed with them. So even the just the coverage and how smooth it is. So 2 thin coats basically is what I've used for the Death Reaper. And I really like the finish. They've got like almost like a milky quality to the finish. It's very nice.
Yeah, I've done more premium paint. I think about £4 a bottle, which is a little bit more than Citadel paints. But yeah, the coverage is really nice. And another thing you'll find as well, Jay, the consistency to thin them is pretty equivalent across all the paints. Whereas some Citadel paints, some of them you need loads of water, some of them you don't need much water, and it's a bit of a, I guess, trial and error, isn't it? Getting the sweet
just like
spot of
experience.
Paints, where with the 2 thin coats, all the ones I've used so far, it's kind of like the same amount of paint to get that consistency right. Doom, I'm covered in the stuff. Doom Death Black is one of my favourite paints from the range. Yes, it's just a black, but it's one of the best blacks I've used.
Yeah, I don't get on with Abaddon Black anymore.
No, it's a bit finicky to use, I find sometimes. The white as well, White Star, the definitely not copyright infringing White Star is a really good white as well. And again, really nice coverage. Thin it down a tiny bit with a couple of drops of water, and it's chef kiss, I'd say, to wind up Dave.
See, I've only really used sort of Games Workshop paints, but
same here, Andy.
Yeah, looking at the like the white from Games Workshop, I've never really looked at the white and thought, that's a really good paint. So yeah, I'd be very tempted to try out some different colours, especially from like 2 thin coats and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you recently did our review of the Armour Painter range, Andy. How did you find that?
So as a Games Workshop substitute paint, I think they're fantastic because they're basically the same as the Games Workshop paints, but a lot cheaper. And the actual dropper bottles themselves, I don't think you're ever going to look at them and think, oh, I'm going to have to buy some more because it's dried out. Whereas the amount of Games Workshop paints that I throw away because they've just dried out is incredible. And the ones that we got sent in the Mega Paint set, they all had mixing bowls in them as well. So I think for the price, I liked them a lot more than some of the Games Workshop paints. The washes, I didn't really like, if I'm being honest. I prefer the Games Workshop washes. But if you're sort of like new to painting, or they are good. Like they're fine. Like the strong tone is kind of the equivalent of like Agrek Surfshade. It's just a lot thicker. It's like applying a varnish to your models rather than applying a wash.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on what you want, really.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I'm interested to see what you think of the washers, Jay. I love the washers. Dave tried them out not long ago, and he wasn't keen on the washers.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure I'm going to get a chance to use it tonight on tonight's stream. It depends how far along I get with the. I mean, maybe. What time are we? 8:10. Yeah, maybe. I've not got too much left to do. Yeah, I've only really used the Games Workshop one. So, I mean, I was thinking maybe some Black Templar or thin down Black Templar, but I think I'm going to give the Oblivion Black, is it? Yeah, Oblivion Black washer a try.
It's the best way of describing them. I think they handle more like the old Citadel shades.
Oh, yeah.
So, what was it called? Devil in Mud and all them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's obviously washes are a very personal thing, aren't they, with handling and stuff. So it is very much kind of what works for you best.
I mean, that's painting in a nutshell, isn't it?
Some
people prefer certain paints over certain ones, and yeah, I'm not a massive fan of contrast paints. Like I've used Garanex Sewer and Black Temple on these Kroot, and I do like them, but I can't use them without applying a wash over the top, just for sort of like my own sanity, just to make sure that they, there's another layer on top of them so they don't just chip. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, it's I don't know, it's interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of people will stick to just one paint brand. Like Games Workshop I've used for years, because you've got the advantage of just being able to walk into your local Warhammer store and pick up the paints, haven't you? And they're always going to have that going for them. But that said, stuff like Tooth and Coats is more widely accessible now in Element. Obviously, if you live near Element, awesome. Again, though, if you're out a bit further, you are probably gonna have to order it. And if you're just buying a £4 pot of paint, you're gonna have postage on top, aren't you? So that is something to bear in mind. I guess if you're gonna restock, you're probably gonna restock quite a few paints, aren't you, in one go?
Yeah.
But yeah, that is
during lockdown, where Games Workshop shut the store for ages.
Yeah.
You couldn't get paints and couldn't get anything, and it's what days. Those were dark times, weren't they?
Yeah, I think early on Games Workshop were quite responsible, I guess.
We've got
definitely.
We've got another first time chat in Twitch here from Waffles Enjoyer.
Waffles Enjoyer. That is an amazing name. How are you doing, Waffles Enjoyer?
Pledge for waves 1 and 2 in the latest Kickstarter. Wallet is bracing for the impact.
Yeah.
Good investment, though.
They are.
Do you get a discount if you pledge? Is there a discount on there?
I believe you do. They did have an early access bundle day one where you got more of a discount, but I think you get, if you were going to buy all the paints anyway, I believe it's cheaper to get them via the Kickstarter. And you'll probably get them a little bit earlier than they're in stores as well. I'm really looking forward to trying out Wave 2, because for most of the stuff I painted recently, the only time I've not used Tooth and Coats is where there isn't an equivalent colour. And we managed to have the exclusive interview about Wave 2, didn't we, Jay? And it looks like that's one of the things that they kind of wanted to address in this wave, covering those other colours. So you've got the triad that covers the I guess the Lizardmen colours, doesn't it?
Sotek green type colours, Temple Guard blue.
Yeah, it's basically the Lizardmen colours, which is the missing in the current one. And obviously, you can mix colours yourself, but I guess one of the advantages to buying bottled paints is that you don't have to mix it because you've got the colours ready for you, haven't you?
Yeah.
So
And that's what I like about the Games Workshop range, and now the expanding Tooth and Coats range as well. That you don't have to mix, because I always, you have to make sure you mix consistently. If if you were painting an army in a week, I think it's okay. You can keep it on your wet palette and go. But for me, it can take me like a year to get an army painted, and being able to stress about mixing the right quantities of paint to get that right shade again, you don't need to worry so much about that with such a big range like Citadel and now the Tooth and Coats as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, a good question in the chat. So Jack Hartness, I've come back into the hobby the last 12 months, and the paints they do now are loads better than the ones they did 15 years ago. I'm a big fan of Vallejo and Army Painter paint. Vallejo are good paints. His question. Be interesting to hear your thoughts on brushes. Are expensive ones worth the money? So this is quite a good question, because you've got, I believe you're probably using them now, Jay, some Army Painter paints that they sent us to review.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
These are fairly affordable, aren't they?
Yeah, you can pick these up. I have a look on Amazon. Every now and then they'll come in a bundle on Amazon for about 30 quid. And I think you get about 10 or so brushes, including this one I'm using here, which is the Masterclass, which is my go-to detail brush, really. But you get from the very small, insane, I think they're called the Psycho insane detail brushes for picking out like pupils on a skink, all the way up to your bigger brushes, which are these ones here, which are your vehicle and terrain brushes. Now, I have to say, I think they're synthetic brushes, these ones are, I'm not sure. Some of the brushes are really nice. I really like the dry brushes. You get two different sizes of dry brush. So you get like a large dry brush with the sort of tapered edge, and a small dry brush, or is it a medium dry brush? Small dry brush. They're really, really good, as are the detail brushes. So the character brush, the Masterclass brush, and the I don't use the Psycho, which is the really tiny one, but I do use the detail brush, the smaller detail brush. Really, really good. And like I say, you can if you check Amazon, you'll get all of that for about 30 quid. So I tend to, just keep an eye on Amazon and pick a box of them every now and then. They're my sort of go-to brushes. Having said that, I also really like the synthetic brushes from Games Workshop. The new white ones. I've got one here. I find these are brilliant. I use these ones for basing and layering. I just think they're really, really good. They hold the paint really, really well. You get a really nice smooth finish when you putting the base down on some power armor or something like that.
I believe they're called the STC range.
That's right, yeah.
I've got the exact same paintbrushes. I bought the Army Painter Mega Paint set for Christmas to sort of like treat myself. Yeah. And they're amazing. Absolutely love them. I even bought the dry brush. Nudge my camera. The dry brush Masterclass brushes. Which I want to try out on some of the Gallo Dark Into the Dark scenery. I'm going to be using those primarily for like scenery brushes. They're really nice. But yeah, I've been using the Army Painter ones for years. I've got like a Games Workshop like Artificer layer brush, and I've got a load of the white ones as well. But those are mostly now for just doing like rims on bases and stuff like that, rather than actual detail.
Yeah. So what's the equivalent price per brush then? You say you can get a big bundle for about 30 quid, Jay. So what's that?
35 quid, yeah. So you're looking at about, what's that? Maybe about £3 a brush, something like that.
Wow, okay, so we are talking cheap brushes. So the brush I'm currently using is a Green Stuff World Gold Series, a Kalinsky Sable one. It's a really nice brush, keeps its points. I've had it probably nearly a year now, and it's still fine. That was £11 to buy. So obviously a bit more.
It's lasted you well, though, hasn't it?
But it's lasted me well, and this is it. In the same space of time, I'd probably go through a couple of the white Games Workshop ones. My go-to brushes were Winder and Newton Series 7. Beautiful brushes. However, recently the price of them went up considerably. to the point where I was like, well, I could spend, 20 quid a brush nearly, or I just buy numerous cheaper brushes that maybe don't last as long, but in the long run work out cheaper. It's, I guess, a bit of a balancing act now, isn't it? Working out, is it going to be cheaper to get a decent brush that will last, or numerous disposable brushes? I've tried
It depends
Artis
on how.
Opus, and I wasn't super keen on them. I don't think they were as good as Winsor
No.
Newton's. I have got some Rosemary and Co brushes as well, which were about, I want to say, £6 or £7 each, and they're great brushes as well. So, like with all things, you've got different options from the premium to the budget, and a golden demon painter could paint something using cheap brushes. Now, what you might find is a cheap brush may not keep its point for as long as a good brush, but a good brush that you don't treat well and you use it for stirring paint and get paint clogged up in it is, if you treat it badly, it's only going to last as long as a cheap brush anyway.
Yeah.
So another thing you've got to factor in really is brush maintenance. You've often said, Jay, that you're not, airbrushing seems like a lot of work because you've got to clean them and maintain them. Well, arguably you've got to do that with physical brushes too. And
Yeah.
after a session, you've got to, clean them down and make sure you've got rid of all the muck in them. And any brush, even if it's a £20 brush, if you don't look after it, it's not going to last that long. So, if you want to kind of step up your painting, I would recommend an expensive brush because they do hold your point, but bear in mind you're going to have to look after it. Where, like those army painter brushes, Jay, they sound a great option because you've got the best of both worlds. They're not going to fall to bits, and they're going to keep the point. And if you look after them, they'll probably last you a while as well.
Yeah, I mean that's it. I think normally they're a bit more expensive, but like I say, I just tend to keep them. Look out on Amazon. I mean, if I go on now and have a look, every now and then you just see them pretty cheap. Let's have a look if there's any on there.
Yeah.
Because I recommend they're good because you've got a mixture of brushes in there as well. So if you are just starting to paint, you've got a whole bunch in there that you can use for different tasks. You don't need to have to worry about. And like I say, that the masterclass brush in there is really, really nice. So if we go on there, so there's one on there now for £43. Should have been 50.
Even £43. How many brushes in that for £43?
So you get 10 brushes.
So you're talking £4.30 a brush. That's a bargain.
Yeah, you get a Kalinsky Sable Hair Masterclass brush, which is the one I use for all of my highlights on my models, my characters. This is my go-to brush. Whether I'm painting a Space Marine Trooper or an Elven hero, this is the brush I'll use for doing the majority of the highlighting on there.
Massive thanks to Jonathan Weaver for subscribing.
Thanks, Bob.
And then you do get... Just trying to see if it's got a description of the different brushes you get in there.
A range of brushes, then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't see the description now, but you get two
everything
different
for
kinds
everything, don't you?
Yeah, that's it. You get some really small detail brushes. You get the two dry brushes. You get like a monster brush, the scenery brush. Then there's like a regiment brush, which is that would be your equivalent of like a base brush, a medium base brush, I guess. Character brush, which is pretty good for details. I tend to use the masterclass brush though, and then you get the I'm sure one of them's called the Psycho and an insane detail one, which if you're just starting to paint, you probably won't see much use for those ones. But as you get more confident painting, they're great for applying some really targeted highlights to like gems or eyes and lips and that kind of thing. But yeah, you have to look after it. But go on, Andy.
The only thing I've used that brush for is painting eye lenses on a Khorne Berserker Space Marine.
Yeah,
because
it's
the set is absolutely fantastic.
I think one of the important things with painting, this is a tip from friend of the channel Pete Allison and Golden Demon winner, and he was kind of once when you win Golden Demon, they invite you down to a bit of a a special event at Warhammer World where they take all the pretty pictures and you get to meet the painters and stuff and get some advice from the heavy metal team. And one of the bits of advice that he took away was make sure you're using the right brush for the right job. If you're trying to paint an entire model using a tiny, like size 000 brush, it ain't going to work. So have a size 1 or 2 brush for putting your base colours down. It doesn't matter if it goes over other bits, because in later stages, you're going to be painting over that anyway, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you'll save time by
Yeah.
using a bigger brush to get those base colours down. Where if you try and struggle and do it all with a little brush, and then you miss and get over it anyway, you've not gained anything by using that little brush to put those initial colours down. All you've done is made it take more time for you. Equally, if you're painting something like a tank
right now,
or a big piece of scenery, use a big brush. Use like a massive like painting brush and just slap it on, because it doesn't matter. Sorry, Andy, what you're saying?
yeah. Well, right now I'm using an old Citadel shade medium brush, and I find that perfect for applying base coats. So I'm just going over some of the Kroot that I hadn't painted. I'm just going over it with Death Guard Green using that brush, and yeah, to try and do that with like a regiment army painter brush, which is kind of like the standard medium base coat brush, would take forever.
Yeah,
Not to
exactly.
mention ruin the brush as well.
Yeah. So yeah, it's find the right brush for the task. Find what brush suits you as well. There's different handles, different lengths. If you're starting out, something like that, a fairly cheap intro set is probably exactly what you need. And then if you decide you need a bit more handling, or a brush that's going to keep its point better, and then at that point maybe you can invest in a more expensive brush. But equally, if it's getting a bit frayed, I don't know. The question is, if you've got an expensive brush that's £12 and say it lasts a year, expensive brush probably will last a couple of years. The question is, how many cheap brushes could you get in that same time period? And if there's not much difference between the two, sometimes for ease, like Jay said with the white Games Workshop ones, the fact that most towns have got a Games Workshop in them, being able to just go and pick one up does make life easier, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Tim Unwin in the chat says
that's the same argument with.
So Tim Unwin says the white-handled army painter brushes are my go-to range at the present. Is that the ones that you're using then, Jay?
Yeah. So they are white handled, yeah. And like I say, you get the black masterclass one as well, which I really rate.
Yeah. Sorry, Andy. I think you're on a bit of a time delay. What were you saying?
It's the same old argument with shoes. You can either buy a cheap pair from Clarks for like 12 quid, or you can buy and buy like 4 or 5 of them over a year, or you can spend the same amount of money and buy a nice pair of Skechers or whatever, isn't it?
I tend to find that I don't get as good control when I'm painting with a pair of Clark's shoes, though.
That is true. That is very true. Yeah. The pro tip: don't try and paint with shoes.
Yeah.
So yeah, another thing that I've started doing recently for dry brushing, use makeup brushes. So I've got one here, and it's a double-ended one. Makeup brush. This was from Wilko's for like 4 or 5 quid, and it's essentially what the premium like £12 plus each brushes that you can get from places like Artis Opus and stuff. Just get a couple of cheap makeup brushes and yeah, slap it on. Over on Twitch, Warp DRV has followed us. Thank you very much. Any chatting going on in the Twitch channel? I can't see it right now, unfortunately.
Warden Toros said brushes are easier to shop for than shoes. Curse size 13s.
Yeah.
Size 30s? I'm size
13s.
8. 13. Alright, okay, yeah. I was going to say 30. That's quite, yeah, that's the size.
Yeah, but Andy also has to worry about that you've got to be this tall to ride sign at the theme park.
Yeah. And have those lights in the bottom that when you move, they flash.
Every time I've been Alton Park as a kid every single time, like 2 or 3 times. I was never tall enough to go on Space Mountain.
You're never tall enough to go on Space Mountain. This feels like we need some kind of like
Yeah.
a story arc here where we take you to Space Mountain, Andy. Assuming you're
Oh,
now
no.
tall enough to ride Space Mountain.
Well, wouldn't it be hilarious if we turned up and I was still like an inch too small?
Yeah, that's exactly what would happen.
I'll tell you what, when I used to go to like Download Music Festival here in the UK, and I remember one year I got right to the front, and I think it was Five Finger Death Punch came on, and absolutely loving it, amazing, and it was the only place in the entire crowd that I could see the band without someone obscuring my view, and they decided to have people come over the barriers and shake their hands and stuff, and the security like stopped the gig and paused it all and all this sort of stuff, and I was just remembering thinking to myself, oh, if I could stand 100 feet back from the stage and still see, I would.
Yeah. It's a curse of being little,
Problem being
Andy.
small, eh? Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think it is. I think it is an interesting point about brushes though, because I think a lot of people maybe have the belief that if they buy an expensive brush, it will make them a good painter, and that's not necessarily the case. Now, like you said, Jay, there might be more control with certain brushes, and you might find that cheaper brushes maybe don't handle so well. If you're starting out, honestly I'd go for the budget option because you're more likely to ruin brushes when you're new to painting as well. It's one of those where like with any hobby, photography or golf or anything, go in with an entry model, find your footing, find if you like it before potentially
Exactly,
spending
yeah.
£100 on brushes that you're not going to use.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So yeah, Stefano Pavlano, I've butchered your name there, sorry. Good evening, how are you doing? What are you working on today? Are you looking forward to any of the releases coming in the next week? I don't think we've talked about him. What's everybody's favourite release coming out this week? We've got the new Kill Team box, we've got the new Warcry box, we've got a lot of the existing war bands as well that had been in previous boxes for both games getting released too. I know, Jay, with your current stint of painting Seraphon, I know you're keen to get your hands on the Chameleon Skinks.
Yeah, the Chameleon Skinks. I mean, definitely. I've been waiting for them to come out. I really, really like them. You did a great job with the ones you painted up, Matt, and I do want to get some of those. I think my favourite release this week though has to be the RBTs.
Yeah, the RBTs look amazing. So they're in the, I forget what it's called, Soul Shackle.
Soul Shackle, yeah.
Which is Drakari versus RBTs. Now, I can take or leave the Drakari.
Yeah.
And the Gallowdark scenery is amazing, but yeah, it's all about those RBTs. I hope that their standalone release comes, fairly quickly. Sorry, guys. Comes fairly quickly because I can see a lot of people wanting to buy like multiple boxes of those to put together some cool stuff for games of not just Warcry. I can see people using them for 40k too.
And Necromunda as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
For not just the enforcers, you could use them for bounty hunters or something as well, which would be pretty cool.
Bounty hunters, yeah. I think they'd make a really cool sort of inquisitorial sort of henchman band. So you could have an inquisitor going, in Necromunda maybe.
Yeah, definitely. Stefano is joining us from Italy, and this evening they're painting their Nighthorn army. They're currently working on a Mayamorn Banshee. Yeah, I like those models. They're cool.
Nice.
So,
see, all I could think about then was Dave saying inquisitorial henchman and the clock getting reset.
Yeah. Well, we're at the point now though where there's quite a few bits that you could put together an inquisitorial force, especially with the new Arcs of Omen detachment. Since you only need a HQ and 3 of any type of choice, it makes putting together those kind of like more niche armies a little bit easier, doesn't it?
I'd be amazed if we don't get a plastic Inquisitor of some sort. I mean, I know we've got a couple of like named character ones now, but like a multi-part plastic kit for them. And let's face it, the Inquisition would use a lot of stuff that the rest of the Imperium wouldn't use. So it wouldn't surprise me if in the future we do get a full-blown Inquisition army.
Yeah, I think I don't think Dave's with us anymore, but I think the time is right for that to happen now. With all the stuff we've got, so we've got the what are they called, the Imperial Navy from Kill Team as well. A lot of those kill teams would be the kind of forces that an Inquisitor would be able to draw upon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have them as, even if you could take them as like an allied detachment, like with the squats in the Ark of Omen rules.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Go on, Andy.
looking at the pre-orders, I mean, I'm definitely going to pick up the Kill Team box and the Warcry box.
Yeah.
Annoyingly, the Kroot Carnivore Kill Team that I'm painting up in a minute, the Far Striders, in the balanced status like for Kill Team, they added an additional operative to the Kill Team.
Oh right.
Which you don't get in the box.
Oh, so you have to buy
in
another
order
box
to actually play, I have to another box. Yeah, I mean, thankfully, I'd have to buy another box just to make all the different options and operatives and stuff. So I'll probably buy one at some point. But yeah, I'm because when did Into the Dark come out? It was like
Into the Dark.
September last year.
Oh, I forget. It was September. The second one was a fast follower, wasn't it? I think one came out September, one came out October.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of time between the two of them. So yeah. No, I'm tempted by the RBTs, whether pick up the box or the standalone release when they come out. I really want to paint them up because they look ace. There's some cool stuff. I really want to pick up the vampires for Warcry and the new Corn Boys, so I think that'll be on my shopping list too. Yeah, lots of cool stuff on the way.
Be an expensive week.
The big one for me though is the plastic jet bikes.
Yeah.
They've kind of come out of nowhere. It's
it's jet bikes for you. They can outflank, I think.
This is true. I mean, they've only got one wound each now though, so a little bit weaker than they used to be.
They've only got one wound.
Yep, one wound each.
Yeah.
And they're only like
Those big jet bikes have one wound.
A good shot on the rider though. Take him out. Yeah, so you'll be careful with them. They're not that survivable, but they're quick and the line, so they can score objectives. Well, the line in certain builds, I think the white scars can make them line. But anything that can be line is worth its points in Heresy, isn't it? Because line's quite hard to get hold of. Yeah, exactly. So what are we up to now, guys? We've got like 22 minutes left. I'm just going over the red on this with Ball Red. Just because it's quite a I guess saturated colour. You kind of just make the red pop a little bit. And anywhere where the primer has maybe missed some of the metal, this will just tint it as well and kind of make it blend in a bit. The black's pretty much done now. Just need to start highlighting that up, which I'll be doing like feathering it with the various kind of turquoises and blues to get that cool kind of high fleet Behemoth look. And then I'm going to decide how I do the weapons. I'm thinking the whip, I might do a nice kind of venomous green.
I was going to say, you've got to get some of the sort of like toxic sort of effects on some of that stuff.
So I'll probably go with a green for the whip and some of the more gribbly bits maybe. How are you guys getting on? Where are you up to on your models?
So I'm using. I tried the Car Caradon Grey. It was too grey, too white. So I've gone for the wizard grey now,
Okay.
and I'm just applying a sort of feathered highlight to some of the edges of the stone, and then I will tie it all together. Like I say, probably not tonight now with the wash and the Euphonian camera shade.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't need to look too neat. This is battered stone. This palanquin's been around for a while, so
Yeah, that's true. It's like, how old is Kroak? I mean, he's from the world that was, isn't he? He must have been kicking around a while.
he's older than the elves.
Older than the elves.
He was the first of the slan that were born on the old world.
Okay.
First generation slan. Last remaining one as well.
So yeah, he's I suspect he's drawing his pension now then.
No, not anymore. The Tories put that back. They raised the pension age. Not even Kroak can claim his pension.
He's still working.
Okay.
How about you, Andy? What's the current progress on the Kroot?
So I've done all the basic. So I did the. I'm going to butcher the names. The Stalker, the Pistolier, the Old Blood, and then just a Kroot Hound. And I've got all the base coats done. I've done all the washes. I'm kind of tempted to leave them there. I've got the claws on their feet, which I've done like Zandri Dust with a Reichland Flesh Shade wash. So I'm going to pick them out with Ushapti Bone. And then I might give the cloak on two of them, which I've painted red, a dry brush.
Yeah.
Or might just do a bit of a layer just to sort of do a highlight on one of those sort of more predominant areas. And since I've been waiting for that to dry, I've just been base coating the rest of the kill team with Deathcore Green.
Nice. Oh, that's cool. So some decent hobby progress tonight then. What about everyone in the chat? What have you been working on? Have you got some stuff painted? Have you got anything finished? Or have you just got some base colours down? It's any painting progress is good progress, isn't it? I've got to say, I'm really enjoying painting these Tyranids. I had a Tyranid army. In fact, I've had two previous Tyranid armies. One that I painted in Hive Fleet Nostromo, alien colours basically. And then my very first one was second edition. So some of the models that I've ordered like today off eBay, the classic Hive Tyrant card effect, all that stuff. I'm really looking forward to getting a bit of a nostalgia hit, painting those models up again, but in this more modern scheme. Is that something people want to? Do you think people will do with all the kind of like anniversary stuff going on, and presumably 10th edition as well? I'd love to see. Quite a few people have done like Blood Angels with green bases and orange highlights.
Yeah, well, this is what I was thinking for my 40k Blood Angels, actually, because my Horus Heresy ones are going to be very dark and gritty, but I was thinking for the 40k ones whether to do them, Joe, with like the black and yellow chevron on the weapons and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think with modern painting techniques, I think it's a really effective scheme, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to go fully retro with
white.
goblin green braces, do you? Massive thanks to Warp DRV for subscribing on YouTube too. And Jack Hartnett says, just finished my base coat on 10 infiltrators and a lieutenant, cleaning my brush, then it's bedtime. It's not far off our bedtime too. It's it's been a busy old week. Sorry, Andy, what were you saying?
So I think they did in the White Dwarf for, was it 40 years of 40k this year, or was it last year?
So,
but there was a...
Oh, on.
There was a White Dwarf article, and one of the guys in that had painted up all of his Primaris Marines in the 3rd edition Blood Angel style, like Jay was talking about, with like yellow chevrons and all that sort of stuff, and goblin green bases and what have you, and it looked amazing.
Yeah, I think you should do that, Jay. It's like you say, it's distinct from your heresy ones, then, which you can do in a more quote marks realistic scheme.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Really, really nice, bright, like almost up to orange highlights on the Blood Angels red.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to start with the boarding patrol anyway, so a smaller force. See how we feel.
Yeah, well, Terminator have the Terminators, and I don't think you can take Sanguinary Guard because they fly, but unless they're
Yeah,
allowed in the
Blood
supplement.
Angels Terminators for sure.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Jack Hartner says, second edition box art Blood Angels. Yeah, basically
Yeah.
that. Did you get the model, Jay? They did a one-off model of the character
Yeah,
off the box art with the Power Fist.
I've got him upstairs somewhere. Yeah.
It'd be a really nice model to do up in second
Yeah.
edition colours, especially if it's 10th edition this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be, hasn't it? Really.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if it isn't coming. What are we thinking of we've got like 15 minutes of the show left, so let's have a quick segue into the other new release that we reviewed, and that's Arcs of Omen Angron. So, Jay, I know you'd read a bit of this book, and I don't know if you've read it and caught up with the lore, Andy, or read the review. What are we thinking of that book?
It's I'm really liking the Arcs of Omen series. Really liking it.
You read the narrative, didn't you? Did you get
very reminiscent?
Oh, go on, Andy. Sorry.
It's very reminiscent of was it the Gathering Storm books they did towards the end of was it 7th or 8th edition? I can't remember. I think it was 7th edition.
End of 7th, I think.
It definitely feels like that. Yeah, it definitely feels like that upping the stakes. Because if I remember right, doesn't Abaddon send Angron after Gilliman?
In the Gathering Storm or in Arcs of Omen?
Arcs of Omen book.
So in Arcs of Omen, basically the Abaddon and Vashtor are trying to get these relics. And I don't want to go into spoilers too much in case people want to read them themselves. But they're these relics, these artifacts scattered across the galaxy that they need to create the key to unlock the mystery thing that they're trying to get. We don't know what it is. We've had some theories on what it could be. But in order for Vashtor to get his plan of godhood and Abaddon to get his plan of, well, giving the Imperium a bad day, they need to get these artifacts. And one of the artifacts is on a planet, Malakabel or something, I think it's called off the top of my head. And Angron and a load of World Eaters are sent there to go and retrieve it. There's some really cool space battles. I think you'd started reading it, hadn't you, Jay? And I was getting some proper urge to play Battlefleet Gothic with some of the stuff in the book.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Have you read it all, Jay?
I've not read it all, no. I've read the first half of it. I've got the second half to read.
And again, I don't want to go into spoilers too much because I know some people watching might want to read themselves, but there is an interesting thing that happens at the end of the book that could have repercussions for the Imperium. And that is all I'll say on the matter. We know that book 3 is Vashtor going to the Rock and fighting Dark Angels. So our suspicions of something lion related also seems pretty likely at this point, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think Dave's going to be happy.
Yeah.
I mean, Gilliman needs some help, doesn't he?
Well, will he be a help?
This is it. I think, again, hopefully some kind of big impact on the Imperium, another Primarch coming back. And it depends on what the key unlocks. I've got a feeling that Abaddon's going to be disappointed, and it's not going to be a weapon as such. It's going to be knowledge or information or something that could be used as a weapon against the Imperium, but not necessarily a big gun or something. I mean, maybe that's just my vibe, but I think that Vashtor's playing Abaddon because he's a demon.
Yeah, I mean, Abaddon can't win, can he?
No.
If Abaddon wins, it's all over.
It is, yeah. Vashtor's a demon. Demons can't be trusted. I suspect that majority of this is to further his ambitions of godhood, and Abaddon will get something out of it, but maybe not what he hoped to get. I might be completely wrong. Maybe you just get a massive gun. Maybe you just win, and the Imperium's knackered. And in the next edition, there's only Chaos armies that you can play.
Oh, what?
I suspect that's unlikely, though.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
But yeah, I've really enjoyed this series. I also saw online people have been talking of 5 books in this series as well. We know 4 had been
Interesting.
announced. Vashtor being book 3 and presumably Farsight being book 4.
Farsight, yeah.
Just due to the fact that we've seen a bit of a teaser for Farsight, haven't we, in the New Year previews? And there's not many models now that haven't been revealed from that show. They've rattled through it really, really quickly.
Yeah, because the Seraphon have been revealed now. The Horus Heresy models have been revealed. I think it is just Farsight, because we've seen the Space Marines now.
Yeah, and we're on the 5th of February, Jay. So, if it's a big preview show for just the stuff January, February, wow, what's coming out this year?
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I think the previous one, it was like 6 months of stuff in there. Now, obviously, the Seraphon, they might not come out for a bit, mightn't they?
Yeah, I think they're summer, aren't they? Late spring, summer, I think.
Yeah. So. But no, it's pretty exciting. I kind of hope that we get lots of cool stuff. And I hope that we get some surprises as well that we maybe weren't expecting.
Yeah.
Because Arcs of Omen is a really good opportunity to bring out new models for cool stuff, isn't it? Especially maybe character models that haven't been updated.
Wave 2.
You might do, yeah.
Votan.
If we do get 10th edition, it wouldn't surprise me if Leagues of Votan get an early 10th edition book with another 8 kits or something.
I want a Votan Dreadnought.
Is that the dream? So if you could have 3 units added in the 10th edition book, what would you have?
To the Votan, right? Yeah. Oh, excellent. Right, yes, I would have a Dreadnought. I would have an artillery piece reminiscent of the dwarf cannons, organ gun, grudge throwers from the fancy, the world that was, and I would also have some rangers, shotgun armed dwarfs on foot, not on the bikes. But yeah, Dreadnought, artillery, rangers.
That'd be cool. Do you think we could get rangers as like a kill team?
I think you're right. I think that would be a perfect way to bring them in, just a unit, because you could have some really cool options. Different weapons options, kit, ranger equipment.
Yeah, because we could potentially get that before the second book, then, couldn't we?
They could, yeah.
Yeah. Still amazes me that we haven't had a Leagues of Votan kill team in like White Dwarf or anything like that.
I think it's because they'll get a bespoke one. They'll get one in a box, and I'd really like the final Gallo Dark box to be Tyranids versus Space Marines with Terminators and Gene Stealers.
Oh yeah.
Just because Terminators is one thing that we're missing, isn't it, from the Space Marine, the Primaris range, and the Gene Stealer models are so old now. And it just seems like the perfect opportunity to update them.
Yeah.
And someone, Pocket Nerd, I think, was talking about the Space Hawk box, with those really cool Terminator models. Imagine that, but Primaris, designed as a kill team, but obviously usable in 40k.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
It'd be amazing.
I mean, I'd be happy with them just making Terminator armor larger. I don't want it to be a new type of Gravis armor or anything like that. I want it to be plain old tactical Dreadnought armor, but upscaled for a Primaris Space Marine.
Yeah. Terminator armor, basically, that can accommodate a Primaris in it. It can be exactly the same rules.
Exactly, yeah.
Just new scale. I think loads of people would love that. What Do you hope in that if we get a new Space Marine book, which presumably we will, because we've seen a few Space Marine reveals now as well, would you like to see Primaris being able to use some of the old transport options?
Yeah, like Land Raiders and stuff. I would, yeah, I would. Because I do like the new Primaris vehicles. I love the Impulsor, and I love the Gladiators and Reapers. I can't remember what the other one's called. Like the tanks. But I'm not a big fan of the Repulsors. And I love Land Raiders. So yeah, being able to take Land Raiders with, Primaris Terminators inside, wow, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would be cool, wouldn't it? And don't forget,
See,
we've got the awesome new.
I don't think it will.
We've got the awesome new plastic Proteus Land Raider as well. I'd love to be able to use that in a Space Marine army.
Yeah, it would be cool.
What are you saying, Andy?
My only issue with Primaris Marines being able to use like Land Raiders and stuff, what would be the point in taking tactical Marines and stuff like that? Because they can't. Like,
Well, I don't.
Able to use like.
I don't think there is a point taking tactical. If you compare the old tactical Marines to the new Primaris Intercessors,
They've
Yeah.
essentially the Primaris stuff has kind of superseded the old stuff, hasn't it?
Especially if we get Terminators and jump infantry now, proper jump infantry.
Yeah, and I think how they did it's been quite good, hasn't it? They've not.
Yeah.
They could have just gone, this is the new tactical squad. All those other ones, they haven't got the options. You can't use them anymore. Because they've got different options, lore-wise, they've been able to create a new unit for them. It hasn't invalidated your old army, but obviously, like with a lot of things, it's going to be less likely that you use those older kits. But when the older kits don't look as nice as the new kit, I don't think that's an issue, really, is it?
No.
You've got Horus Heresy come back as well, where a lot of that old stuff could be used in Games of Heresy now, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
It is a shame, and there is a bit of a nostalgia factor again. But I think they've had some competitive points cuts, haven't they? With a lot of the equipment folded in, I think there is still point for taking some Space Marines now. Like Devastators, for example. I think all your weapon options are free.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think there is still cause for taking one. It just might not be, I guess, head to head against a Primaris unit. The Primaris unit's probably going to win out, isn't it?
Well, you've got very similar stats now as well,
Yeah, they've all got 2 wounds, haven't they?
2 wounds, aren't they? Yeah.
I guess they've got different roles. You've got more flexibility in tactical squads, haven't you, with your special and heavy weapons?
Yeah,
your Devastators have got more speciality. You can specialize the unit to do what you like. Where even with these new missile dudes, like with the Hellblasters, they've all got the same heavy weapon, haven't they?
Yeah.
Which in itself is a throwback to the original Heresy stuff as well, though, isn't it? So it's kind of come full circle.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what we do see. I Space Marines are the poster boy, aren't they? So they're going to have some cool surprises for us and some new kits, and we've had a lot of the Primaris range fleshed out. Jump packs and Terminators is really the missing bit, isn't it?
It is, yeah, because you've got the sort of land speeder equivalents, you've got the bikes. I can't think of anything else other than those 2 units, really.
No, new variant dreadnoughts. We've seen that recently, haven't we?
You've got the new Furioso.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think there's going to be some cool stuff ahead, and I bet there's a load of secrets that we haven't seen yet as well.
Yeah.
But alas, guys,
definitely.
We are coming up to 9 o'clock. So, let's have a check-in of how we've done. I've got all the base colours down on this Hive Tyrant now. So, a couple of washes on him, and then can start highlighting it up, and he can be the first part of my new Tyranid army I'm looking forward to putting together. How's the progress going on the big frog, Jay?
Yeah, I've got the black done now. So I've just applied a wash to it, so I'm letting that dry now. It's looking quite good. I think once the wash is dry, I'm going to go in with the Euphonian Camo Shade and put a bit of moss effects on it, and then I can start really working. Well, I'm not sure what to approach next. Maybe the Jade I can do now.
A jade, cool. How about your Kroot, Andy? How are they getting on?
So the 4 that I've been painting up, the only thing I've got left to do now is to dry brush 2 of the red cloaks with Astaroth red, and then once that I've just got to do the base. But I haven't decided how I'm going to do the bases on them yet. So I think I'll do the dry brush quickly before I go to bed, and then I'll have a think while I'm painting the rest of the kill team up as to how I want to do the bases. But I'm thinking like a deserty sort of yellow sort of style base to them.
Deserty yellow, cool. Awesome. Well, it's been a fun night, guys.
It's been good to paint some fantasy.
It has been good to paint some Tyranids for me. I hope everyone in the chat has had a good evening tuning you joining the channel. If you're new to us, why not give us a subscribe over on YouTube or follow us over on Twitch. We do this weekly, every Sunday, 7 till 9 UK time. We also have lots of reviews and unboxings, and battle reports will be coming back soon. So yeah, check that out if you can. But yeah, until next weekend, hope you have an amazing week, and we'll see you all really soon. See you later.
Bye.